How's it going? How's it going? Welcome aboard. Hey, it is I, TJ. I got someone else, and I've been hanging out with this guy for a bit now, and we've been doing some cool things. He is out in a small town called Sasolburg, but the world has grown so much where that, or should I say, it has come together, even though it has grown apart. With the technology, and we've been close by. I speak to this guy much more often that he almost feels like he stays next door. And this is a guy that is none other than Ricardo Van Roy. But before I introduce you to him, he is a property investor in his right. So he does property just like me. And there's a couple of things that we have in common. He is a man. He's a father, and he's an author, and he wears multiple hats. But let me not hold it back. Ricardo, how's it going?
Hey TJ, no, I'm doing fantastic, man. Thanks for having me on your show. Yeah, I've got a couple of things going on my side, but yeah, interesting times, hey? A man must work. A man must work.
Yeah. A man must work.
Yes. Other than that, I'm doing well, man. Family-wise, fantastic.
Yeah.
Can't really complain, man. Yeah.
Yeah. How many kids you've got, Ricardo?
I've got four boys.
Yeah.
Jose, Jonathan, Joshua, and Jeremiah. So yeah, different ages, but yeah. To my wife Chanel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's something definitely worth living for. I think they are the guys that gives me the reason for living every single day. Yeah.
So
awesome.
So all of your kids, 4 boys, right? They're all the J's, right? And
yes,
they are the J's. All I call them the J's from the Old Testament. And why that?
Man, I think I'm a person that I strongly believe in the things of the Lord.
Yeah.
In God, I'm a very spiritual type of person. So I also believe that the names have got a lot of meaning, you know.
Okay.
And specifically, when I decided to give these guys the name, my intention was to be able to, it must have a particular meaning. So like Joshua, for the guys that are very biblical, Joshua had a personality in terms of, he had a personality of being tenacity, you know, going after certain things. So I'm also the type of person, you know, when I want something, I try and push and get it. So I've given the boys a couple of names, and I can tell you they're all different, but some of the names means the Lord give it, the Lord added, and then just Jeremiah, you know, meaning God knows the plans that He have for you. Joshua more on the mindset in terms of 10 of the previous guys said we can't do it. Him and Caleb said let's go and possess the land. So that's the frame of mind I wanted to give them, and I can tell you, in a way, they already going after the name. You know, they're already running after the name. So yeah, that's where it comes from. So yeah, I think the fourth one, the J, it was still up for debate, but yeah, I said no, we have to. So yeah, what can I say? Awesome.
Okay, so the fifth one is going to be called Jesus, right?
No. Maybe Joy if it's a girl. Maybe Joy.
Maybe a girl. Okay, good stuff. All right, so cool. Thanks on giving us a snippet of your family, man. I always try to connect with people, my reason of doing this is that to showcase that we are ordinary people still living ordinary lifestyles just like anyone else, and we're just trying to make a difference in our own personal lives. And we met, I met you via my wife the first time around. But who's Ricardo? What do you do?
Man, Ricardo is, long story short, I'm a person that really loves personal development.
Yeah.
Forever learning the latest or the greatest things.
Yeah.
So like already touched on specifically, I'm a spiritual person, love things of the Lord. But also in terms of the business side of things, I'm a success coach, best-selling author.
Well done, well done.
Thanks. The book called 7 Simple Steps Getting Paid Doing What You Love.
Right.
And then I think in the last couple of years, a property investor. Love property with all of my heart. I think probably the safest thing that you can ultimately do currently. And then I've got a digital marketing company.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my activities that I'm currently running a lot day to day. That's Ricardo van Roy. Maybe just on the background side of things, I grew up in a small town somewhere in the West Rand in Johannesburg. For
Yeah.
the people that knows Joburg very well, it's called Roodepoort. I
Yeah.
grew up there, I think, from early age, finished school in that particular area. Love the area, but I think, you know, growing up in a colored township type of a scene, I think, you know, every area has got its own challenges, you know, and I think poverty at the end of the day will ultimately try and keep you down there, not for you to reach particular goals, you know. So
Yeah.
that's where I grew up, finished matric, high school, somewhere along those lines in, I think, 2002, 2003. Set to leave the house because I think because of financial situations, decided, no, let me go and look for a job.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, got into the, what do you call it, the industries of the Cecils, the mining industries.
Yeah.
Started working myself up in the corporate world. And yeah, by mistakenly, someone gave me a CD of how to invest in property. I think initially I just said, no, man, it's a lot of money, a lot of debt. Let me stay out of this thing. But yeah, long story short, I can honestly say, if I look back now, I'm definitely very, 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 very happy. You know? So yeah, very happy that I've
Good.
actually gone and started investing in property. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. That was the question that I was going to ask you, to say, you know, you grew up in Roodepoort, in the big city, and obviously, yes, Roodepoort falls in the greater Johannesburg in terms of vicinity perspective. And you see a lot of people are actually moving more from the smaller towns into the big metros, but you actually did the other way around. You know, you moved from a big metro into a smaller town. So I always see that, you know, when you move into a smaller town, people always think of you as the clever guy, you know. And was this the scenario with you when you moved into Sasolburg?
Yeah, the Cecil Secunda area. So basically, yeah, it was probably seen as such. I think as a young man that time, I think people probably saw me to say, you know, this guy grew up in this area, so definitely he knows a lot of things. But I mean, I was also nobody really understood your history and your past.
Yeah.
But I think what I appreciated of going out of a big city into a small area was, for the first time, I could start a new life. I could start a new journey. You know, no one knows me. You know, and if you grow up in these particular areas, these townships, people would normally, if something goes wrong, everybody knows your business, you know. So for the first time, you could go into a new area, you build your own life, your own perceptions, you know, you start up fresh. So I actually loved it. And at this point of time, I still find myself in these areas. I mind my own business, but I honestly say I love just being a bit away from the CBDs and the big areas. Yeah, once a month, twice a month, I ultimately go back and just greet my family there and say, guys, how you doing? But yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is.
So with you, dude, we can literally speak until tomorrow, because there's so many avenues that we can explore together. But today I want to kind of like zoom it into the property space. But I am not going to run away from talking about your book, because I was also fascinated about your book, and you also become a bestseller. What is your book around? And I mean, you speak about 7 things that you do, right? That one can do. But let me not steal the thunder from your own mouth. But what does the book? What inspired the book? That's the first one. And what is the book all about?
Yeah. So basically, what inspired the book was the message of the book. It's basically, I shared the message in terms of you've got what it takes to be a success. That's what the book is more or less about. Yeah. And one of my coaches one day asked me, Ricardo, if you had to sleep and you wake up one night and you want to scream a message, what would it be? The message would have been just to say, TJ, you've got everything locked up on the inside of you to be a success.
Right.
The challenge is just in today's life, people don't realize what they've got, what is locked up on the inside of them, what God has given them. So my book is more along the lines to say that your gift will make room for you. The passions that you've got in your life, it's not just there by chance or by mistake. It is definitely there for a divine purpose or for a greater calling. And I'm just saying, if you can fan that flame, if you can put all your energy and effort into that particular thing, you can get paid doing what you love. You understand what I'm saying? Like myself, I love property, I love digital marketing, those type of things. But also, the book touches on everything that I've gone through from a youngster up until now. Still recalling those days when I sat in the Roodepoort area, coming up from the place whereby growing up with poverty, couldn't have what I wanted to have. So I just looked at my success story, my story, what happened. So one of the chapters in my book, it starts along the lines in terms of, what do you want? I think it's important for you to know what do you want.
Right.
And then also another chapter talks about, writing down the vision. Something that I discovered in my life was, and I've also seen a lot of successful people doing it, is writing down specifically what you want. Amazingly, 10 years ago, coming up, reaching a certain level of success, I actually realized every single thing that I wrote down actually materialized,
Sure.
Until this day, it's a principle that I apply in my life. So that is something that I touch in my book. And then it talks about, mindsets. You know what? I strongly believe wherever you find yourself currently and where you want to get to in life, it's just a mindset issue, It's just, if you want to, irrespective of which area of your life, whether you want to have a successful marriage or you want to be a successful business guy or a successful entrepreneur or an investor, it's really just a matter of trying to tap into the mindset of the guy that already you want to become. So if you want to be the next TJ that's owning a lot of properties, how does he perceive? How does he look at things? How does he handle things? What is his mindset? If you can get to that particular level in terms of his frame of mind, man, the sky is the limit. You can definitely become all that you want to be. So that's talking about mindsets. You know what? How do you change your mindset, your perception? Because that which you don't know will ultimately hurt you. If you don't know, you don't know. You're gonna remain poor. So that's along the line. So it talks about mindsets, taking action. But I think my second last chapter, it talks about getting a coach. So even in my own company, in my own business, I strongly believe if you want to fast track your success, you need to find a coach, someone that has already gone before you, and I'm very encouraged by your podcast, because this is a part of it, an element of it where you tell people, speak to some people that has already gotten the success,
100%.
and then definitely you'll get greater success. Why do you want to go learn the hard way? So currently in my life, I've got a couple of coaches. I go and learn from the best, and I go and implement. And then I think lastly,
so Ricardo, if I may hold you there, right? The question I want to ask you is that you're a success coach, but you also have coaches.
Correct.
If someone actually asked me that question the other day. He says to me, if you're a coach, so why do you need a coach? And my reasoning to them was that, and I want to exchange notes with you here because you're a coach as well. And I said to them, look, if I'm a coach, life is like a stadium. At any given time, wherever you are on the terrace, there is someone who is at peer level with you, right? So you're one-on-one. And at the bottom, there's always going to be some people on you, or at the bottom to you. And above you, there's always going to be people above you at whatever level that you're going to get. So no one ever gets to the toppest. No one ever does that, right? It's like, waking up, those that are handsome, there's always another guy who's handsome. So that's what life is all about. So I'm continuously wanting to learn from those at the same level with me. How did they get here? Continuously learning from those that are above me, say, how did they get to the second step and third step and fifth steps that they are? But in the same breath, I'm also pulling others. And that's the way I kind of like view coaches, and I don't know how you view it as well.
No. I definitely agree with you 100%. That is also the frame of mind that I've got. And in my book, I touch on, I think there's 3 or 4 things that I touch on in terms of the coaching.
Yeah.
You need coaches that is far better than you. You understand? Because I think it's a certain level that you've reached. That's why I said, if you don't know, you don't know. You understand what I'm saying?
That's it.
And the thing with a coach is going to challenge you. Because if you go to your family will just tell you the nice things. you know, the good things that you want to hear, but a coach will challenge you, you know. A coach will ultimately push you to be able to take certain other things and hold you accountable, you understand? But your own friends, your own families, they're not going to give you that, you understand? But also, if you want to go to another level, only that particular coach can be able to take you to the next level, you understand what I'm saying? The other thing with a coach gives you a bigger perspective, a bigger view, you understand? I mean, the same like the players that are playing soccer ball or whether they're playing rugby. A coach stands back and look at this whole activity, get a bigger picture, bigger view. You currently, you in the game, you cannot really see the gaps, but a coach ultimately takes a step back, guides you, directs you, challenges you, and ultimately, you know what, fast tracks you. So that's something I would definitely recommend anybody, irrespective of your level. You need to have a coach. All successful people have got coaches.
Nice. Well said. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Ricardo, let's come back to your other business, which is property investment. And I don't know whether you look at it as a business or what, but certainly for me, it is a business. I don't work in it. I kind of like invest in it. I have built, you know, having people that kind of like work in the business. And from time to time, I get to massage it a little bit, you know, so that it's continuously growing. Your journey started off whilst you were already in Secunda, is that correct? Or you started off whilst you were here in Johannesburg? What triggered the awareness? Was that CD that you got, or it was something else?
Yeah, so on my side, I actually learned it when I got to Secunda. I think my journey started in 2008. It was approximately about 11, 12 years ago.
Sure.
And what happened to me was, I think in the area when I came in, I think where the challenge came in, coming out from the Joburg area, all of a sudden I'm in a new area, starting a new life.
Yeah.
Back then, when I started earning my first salary, I only wanted to wear the latest and the nicest clothes, you know, like the young guys would do.
Yeah.
And I could see.
I see you with your polo shirt all the time.
You know, right? It's now it's currently part of life, but yeah. So back then, my frame of mind was, you know what? Let me just buy what I couldn't have back then. But something that I realized in the area was that when I came
and Ricardo, hold on. Before you jump on into the area, you just said something important there. You got your job and now you're in control of your money and you're saying, I just want to buy what I couldn't have.
Yes.
Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
Man, I think you go through certain levels of your life. You understand?
Right.
Currently, I've completely changed. Most of my finances and money, I would tell you definitely it's about 90% goes into property. But I think you go through a certain level of your life. And I think it depends how you've been raised and how you've been brought up. When I started that time, all I wanted was basically, you know, to have these nice clothes, to have Levi's, those type of things I couldn't have. But so it's really a 50-50 things. But I think now when you have the resources and the money, yeah, you need to be very wise in terms of what you do to finances. You know?
I agree with you. So I said the other day to Genevieve, I think it was about 3 days ago, and I said to her, babe, you know what? Life is in different phases, right? In some phase, you want to be at the bottom, and you not want to be at the bottom, but you be at the bottom, and you go up. It's valleys, right, as you're going around. And we were talking actually about a game in the house that we've got, 60 seconds. So my wife says, I said, I don't know how to play 60 seconds. I've never played it before. And she says, you've never played it before? I said, yes, I've never played it before. She says, oh, even when you're growing up? I said, yes, that was part of my before as well. You know, so, and she says, oh, but like, didn't you have friends and things like that you had? And I said, no, we were like so poor that, you know, we didn't have. And she says, yeah, we were also poor, but we had second hands, you know? And I said, yeah, but poverty comes in different levels. You know what I mean? But now that we fairly have, where do we strike the balance of getting what we never had and balancing off in creating the future that we want, right? So is it that I earn 100 Rand and 100 Rand of my 100 Rand, I'm going to throw in 80% of my 100 Rand all the way into creating the future that I want? Or am I doing a 50-50? Or am I doing a 70-30? So everyone has their own balance in which how they're going to strike that, right? Because you still need to live today. You still need to have bacon on the table today, right? And you still have to look good today, you know?
Yes.
You can't sacrifice everything for tomorrow. So yeah, but I like the way that you have just said it there. But why 90% of your money is now going into property? Why?
Man, for me, currently, honestly, I think for me it's more about recurring, you know, having multiple streams of income. But
Sure.
also at the same time, I think it's either property or it's education. You know,
Okay.
One thing I have learned, you know what, your breakthrough always comes before education. That's something I've learned again, and now that's again from my life. Coming along the lines to say, you know, the more I learn, the more I earn. You know, and basically the reason I've gone into property was because of this income, you know, always to have this passive income coming consistently into my life. So that's why it's mostly in property. And like I also said, for me, it's the safest thing. I spoke to yesterday to someone that asked me to invest in a certain thing else. And I said, you know what? I understand people are making money out of that. The thing is, I don't have the skill and the competency in terms of a particular field. I'm just saying no one can run away with my property overnight. There's no way. You understand? So I'm saying, yeah.
I like that.
So I just, yeah. So
no one can run away with my property.
No one can. You know, you can have other issues and challenges, but I said no one can run away with property. So for me, it's honestly the safest. It's the easiest, you know. And also, if I look at the banks and the financing and those type of things, you know, banks will break their back just to be able to finance the property for you. So
Sure.
I like it. I honestly like it, and I think even in my other businesses that I've got, most of my goal is generate income, goes into property, and then let us thing build. You understand? Your wealth continues to grow. I think it's, for me, simple is better. You know what? Don't complicate things, just keep it simple. And property gives you that opportunity. So yeah, like I said, TJ, for me, honestly, back in those days, someone gave me a CD. I was very fortunate to listen to the CD, but I can honestly tell you, for your listeners also, back then, I said to myself, this is that. I don't want to get involved here. I like my nice clothing. I like this nice life I'm living. I've got money, you know, I don't want to hear anything about property. And amazingly, when I learned, or when I saw this, I said, but this is something I can actually do. You know, it's a simple concept. And from there, I've actually gone and shared with a couple of friends, taught some of the students just how to start investing in property. But I can honestly say, I mean, from 2008 up until now, I've got my own number that I've purchased. And it's definitely working for me. It's definitely working for me. Yeah, but I can also say I've also gone, like I said, and learned from a couple of different guys. Tweaked what I said. No, this is not my appetite. Like, for argument's sake, some guys will speculate, some guys will just invest. Me, I'm a long-term investor. No, I just keep it long-term and run with it. You know, run with it.
Yeah. Okay, so that was going to be my next questions in terms of your investment style or strategies. What is it you want to unpack it for us? What is it exactly that you do? So you said you're a long-term investor, but what does that mean? How do you invest? What kind of projects do you invest in, and why that way?
Yeah, so on my side, what I have found much more easier is entry-level properties. So meaning your 1-bedroom, your 2-bedroom, those type of ones. Also, ideally, those ones that is very close to me, that I can be able to just drive past and have a look at what's ultimately happening. But I think one of the reasons why I've gone into a smaller type of a market is because, I mean, many youngsters, you know, they leave home, they go into this property. So what I've also seen in my career with property is that I will always have tenants. These places are much more easier to have tenants, you understand?
Okay.
Than to buy a luxury property, and then all of a sudden, you know, you've got this big bond, and at the same time, you need a family to move in there. But if I've got a 1 or 2-bedroom property, you know, youngsters, they move around, they starting their job, those type of things. So I will always have that. And it's easier to fill the property, you understand? It's easier to fill the property. So that's something that I've looked at. That is more or less my style.
Yeah.
The other style that I can maybe add on is, it depends in the areas, but the other thing that I normally try and do is to look at a property that doesn't that finds itself in a good area, like a jewel for argument's sake, and then ultimately the goal is not just to fix up and sell. So the goal will probably be to you look at the area and you say, all right, this property is going for $1 million. Can I buy a property for 650, 700,000? And then ultimately just add value onto the property, and when the time is right, pull out and go and purchase more properties. You understand that type of a setup. Right. What has worked for me very, very well is in terms of, if I find a property that I get at a very good price, I would look at how can I maximize my income on that land, on that property. So typically,
so you're maximizing whatever that is there.
Yes. So that would be typically whether I convert a particular garage into a granny flat to be able to, you understand, something like that, or there's an looking at existing plans, calling in the architect guys and say, guys, how can we tweak this to optimize? You understand, still make it legally, but to optimize to get the most out of this particular property. So that is more or less my strategy. So it has never been about adding value and selling and make a quick buck. It's never been along those lines. Because what I have learned in my journey is that what is expensive today will be cheap tomorrow. So meaning, as much as I want this particular property today, let's say it's 800,000, it's expensive to me to be able to purchase it now. But 20 years from now, that property that's 800,000 now could easily be about 2 million or 3 million. You understand? So long term, I will be better off than selling it, because if I sell it now, I will never have it again. I will never have the possibility of income or capital growth, depending on what your goal is at the end of the day. So for me, it's really cash is king, income, holding it as long as possible, and when other good properties come, purchase and optimize. That's my main goal.
Yeah. Ricardo, how do you manage the properties? So are you buying on your own, you and your wife, or is it in a business? Are you running it as a business? And how do you structure that?
Yeah, so I see property investments as a business, and every unit that I've got, it is like a tap that ultimately pours out income. So it's definitely a business. Yeah. Some of my property deals, it depends how structured it, but most of them is structured in terms of trusts. There's also something that I've learned. So most of them is in trusts. Initially, when I started, I first bought on my own name. Then later, me and my wife started purchasing together. When I got into this thing full-fledged, I learned, listen, there's a better way in terms of having trust structures just to protect my assets, my family, because I've got a big family. So just to be able to protect that, if something has to go wrong, you know what, there shouldn't be a knock-on effect. You understand? So I'm very big in trusts, and I can definitely advise people to go and have a look and just understand what is happening with trusts. But yeah, I think for me that's the way to go. That's how I ultimately run my business.
Okay, and I like your strategy, and I like the way you structure things. Do you buy in your 2 beds, 1 bath? Are you buying in complexes, or are these freestanding houses?
Yeah. So.
Or you got a variety in terms of your portfolio?
Now I've got a bit of a variety, but most of them is more or less townhouses, because over time, what I've seen, I mean, even if you go look at stats currently at our major banks, you'll be able to see, you know what, townhouses, those things has outperformed any market mostly at this point of time. You know, it depends what you specialize in, but what I do is it could be in townhouses. Some is in complexes, because there's a perception it's safe on the inside. It isn't really safer, but that's the perception. So I've got a few there. Some of them you'll find, you know, like your normal standard flats. You understand that you currently got. And then I've got a couple that specifically, you know, like a freestanding house, you know, in a particular area.
Yeah.
If the sums just make sense, I normally on a Sunday afternoon I drive around here or take the family, say let's take a drive down to East Rand, and we take a drive around there. And like I said, then I look for these particular jewels. The area is beautiful, nice houses, but I see this one, you know, that I can just see, you know, there's no fence, grass is high, and then I go and look for these particular ones. But so that's more or less my type of portfolio that I currently focus on.
Yeah. Ricardo, when you started off, you know, I'm just looking at you, a guy from the hood. And when you started off, I remember when I started off, I mean, I was working at that time, but to explain to family and friends, it was such a big mission in terms of explaining them on what this was all about. Say, I'm doing this as a business. I got a lot of family members almost like, you know, coming out with knives. You can't do this. It's not right. You're going to go bankrupt. Ha, 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 ha. And I look at my journey, and some of them now are my biggest cheerleaders now that it's working, right? And I would like almost to think that I always want to find out from other people, when they started off, was there support, or they were more, don't do that, from your immediate family and friends, kind of like, you know, I remember when I spoke to my mom around this, she didn't comment much. She just said, let's see, maybe it might work. But the tone was like, you want to leave your work? You know, so the tone was not right. Though she was saying something else different. How did that one come across to you in your circle?
Man, I think maybe probably from to relate to your story, I think from my mom's side, when I shared the story to her, I think she received it well. I think she received it well. But I think also growing up in a family, my mother growing up with a stepfather, they also had their own first property, you understand, paid it off very fast. So when I shared to them owning multiple properties, you know what, it was something new. Yeah. But I can still recall, I think my mom was fairly fine with it, you know, I didn't have so much flack. My first property deal that I did, I think when I came into this particular area, I can tell you, I got a lot of flack, not just from family, but also the community, because people started knowing me. When I purchased the first property, back then, the sums just made sense to me. And someone said to me, man, do you know the house? Do you know who was staying in that house? And I'm just saying 1 + 1 is 2. You know, here's a deal. That's all I'm seeing. Yeah. But even today, I think everybody doesn't really understand the principle of what's happening. They're just seeing the houses, but they don't really understand long term. How can this thing make you really wealthy? But also from my best self, my wife, to explain the concept. You know, I think back then it was a bit challenging, but now when we look at what the goal is, what is the plan long term, you know, when the boys are all 20, what is the plan? You know, it really makes sense. You understand? But also I share when I try to explain people how to invest in property. If I may share, this is what opened my eyes. And it may not always be as such. It depends the areas and the markets and a lot of things. But what opened my eyes in terms of property was, I realized that, for argument's sake, I love resort type of settings, you know, sitting at a dam, you know, and just being calm, relaxed, peaceful. And someone asked me initially when they explained to me the concept, said, Ricardo, imagine you have got a fishing rod and you would throw this fishing rod in a dam. You can technically catch one fish, you know, let's say worst case, you can catch one fish. And this person said to me, now just imagine you've got 10 fishing rods in this dam, you can pull out 10 fishes. Okay. And I said, okay, that makes sense. And this person said the same with property. And he said, Ricardo, just imagine, and this is what I always explain to people also, just imagine, let's say 2020, let's say this wasn't this Corona story now, but let's say 2020, January, you would bought an entry-level property of, let's say, 450,000 or 1 bedroom. And for argument's sake, December, this property would be, let's say, 550,000. let's say you've painted it, you've added value onto it, and there's about 100,000 in it.
Yeah.
So and I always make this analogy, and I said, you know what? So this is 100,000 that is already in one fishing rod. If I had 10, it's about 1 million, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, man, who's going to pay me 1 million per year, or every second year, or every third year?
Yeah.
You know, and that
Doing
is doing nothing. And I mean, I can be sleeping. This thing is growing, and that's what I love about it, you know. And no one can run away with my property. No one can steal it. You know what? So, man, there is no safer investment, according to me, that you can invest in. I mean, there's other guys, but this is something that I've got skill, I've got competency, and I've done it for the last 12 years. So yeah, that's my frame of mind in terms of how it can be very beneficial towards you. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. I like your story, man. Having journeyed this long in it, right? I'm sure you have seen the ups and the downs. Is there a particular story or event where you potentially made the wrong move and it bites you, but out of that you got some lessons that you might be at liberty to share with us?
Yeah, I think in this last time, I think I've had more good things than bad things happening to me.
Sure.
So I haven't really had a deal that gone completely crazy, you know.
No school fees of late.
No, not much. I think the most I think the most challenging things I probably had was maybe one or two challenges in terms of tenants.
Yeah.
But like I said also earlier to you, you know what, these things comes with the game, you know.
Sure.
For me, I am more than comfortable dealing with these type of things. So, and I think your question also touched earlier on it in terms of how do I handle these things. Most of the properties is either outsourced for letting agents to run it. There is probably one or two that I just look at because of the sensitivity along the lines, but most of them is outsourced. But what I've picked up, probably your tenant issues that you'll probably have is because of your due diligence, for argument's sake. That's something that I've learned in the last 10 years. Sometimes just I probably had one or two that really was not well. The good thing was what I am fairly comfortable with learning the lessons. I think 2 years back I had 2 or 3 guys taking me to, what do you call this thing? Tribunal.
Yeah.
Now it was a very small thing, but I was up for the challenge.
I've been there as well. Don't worry.
So I was up for the challenge, man. And you know, after I spoke to my lady also concerning these things, she said, you know what, just let this thing go. I said, no, man. This is my long-term business, you know. So let me go there. Let's see what happens. You know, let's go and see. And I said, I'm this type of person, TJ. I look at my problems and I always ask myself, what's the worst that can happen? You know, then you evaluate it based on that and then you move on. So when I had a scenario, I said, guys, what's the worst? It's either I have to pay out the deposits or whatever. And I can tell you I've learned something seriously out of that, because the guys who was at tribunal actually explained to me 2 or 3 laws. So I was fairly well covered, but there was a third law, this Consumer Protection Act, that actually overrode all of these other contracts and certain things, you understand, meaning making my contract actually null and void at the end of the day. But I mean, the worst thing that could have happened was for me to pay out a particular deposit, and I learned my lessons from there, but it hasn't stopped me, you know. I also see every lessons that I learn in properties, because where do I see myself long term? Long term, I see myself as an extremely successful, wealthy type of person. Property is one of those things that can get me there. You understand?
Sure.
It's part of the game. It's part of what you need to learn. If you don't want to be extremely wealthy, man, then don't get involved in property. It comes with that. If you want to be a soccer player or rugby player, man, you're going to have some injuries. But I mean, I see my life, it's better. I can have a bruise, but I can be wealthy, you know. It's fine, you know. I always share with some of my friends along these lines, you know. As long as you're alive, you will always have problems. You know, you'll always have problems. And I always share with my friends, I say, you know what, I can rather have money and have problems than to have no money and I must still have problems. You understand what I'm saying? So I can rather find myself somewhere in Mauritius having all of these problems, but at least I can sit with my wife and say, you know what, okay, we've got this problem now, I'm relaxed.
Yeah,
So how do we deal with this thing, you know? Then to sit somewhere and saying, whoa, how do I deal with this thing? So that's how I look at property investments, you know? That's how I look at my challenges, yeah.
Okay, cool stuff. And Ricardo, on that, right? I just want to close off with the last question of asking you. You've been at it now 10, 12 years. What are some of the benefits that you know, because you're a vision guy, you know, you write things down and things like that, which I do, by the way, and I'm a serious advocate for that. I've got one of my black books here, and I always say to people, find a cool book that you write in. You know, so I got a cool book, nice leather, and I write in all my goals in there. You know, and I write my goals in the morning. I write my goals in the evening. It's the same stuff that I'm writing. But what am I doing? I'm juggling my mind and reminding my mind that we still need to get there, right? And the more you write, the more you trigger in your mind, the faster you get there. You know, so I am very much like you. I use my phone to remind me what my vision is. I use my phone to remind me of my affirmations that I need to be doing. Every hour that reminder comes up. So there's a whole lot of things that I utilize, and a lot of devices and things that I do to help me. In my office, there is certain areas where my vision is there in different format, you know. So in one point it's in another picture, another point it's in writing, and I change those things regularly so that it doesn't just become the picture that's there, you know. I want it to have a meaning to me, and that's why, you know, I like to do that. So for you, having journeyed now 10 to 12 years, when you started off, your vision potentially was different to now.
Yes.
Or should I say, I don't want to say it's different. It has grown potentially. Now, what are some of the benefits that you have now started seeing, or that already you have realized? And please don't speak about your trip to Mauritius just before COVID, because I was like jealous, like, hey, dude, you are at the beach, white sand and clear water. What's going on? But what are some of those the visions, or should I say, some of the goals that you really set out and that you have now seen as benefits in your life today, or even if you realize it like 5, 6 years ago? But some of those things that you can now safely say, like, you know, I feel good that I started a couple of years ago, you know, and this is now I'm living into it.
Yeah, I think TJ, I think specifically one of them that I can quickly touch on. I think my first property that I bought, I think at the age of 22, a very simple property that someone told me, hey, don't get involved with this property, you know what, and the numbers just work for me. I mean, one of the things that highlights for me specific even in this year, you know, that property generates approximately more or less about 11,500, you know, clean for me to this day. You know, that is an achievement on its own. You know, I mean, when I share with my wife normally these numbers, you know, it's something that I say, you know what, remember that's the time when I started concerning this thing, and look at what we have acquired currently. You know what, so that's definitely one of the things that I can honestly say. And I can tell you, based on also how I've structured certain things, many of these incomes have settled a lot of certain things, you know, to get myself to a certain level in terms of debt free. Whether the vehicles that I drive, you understand, it's all being settled. It's just now the properties and things. But also it has allowed me to stay in a particular area whereby I can give my kids and my sons what they ultimately deserve, you understand?
Right.
And one of the main reasons I've invested in property is so that when these boys are at the age of 20, you know what, they are well off, they are well sorted out, my lady is well sorted out, understand? But I can honestly tell you, one thing that property has helped me in the last couple of years is also just to, besides changing my life, but also to give me a different mindset, and also to help me develop myself, you understand? Because most of the funds also that I get I'm a strong learner in terms of education, personal development. You know, it's a must. It's definitely a must. You must continuously work on yourself. So that's definitely some of the benefits, but also just the fact that you get a lot of tax breaks. You know, you can always deduct all of these things. You know, all the courses that we attend. You know, you can always say it's in the production of income. You understand? The tax breaks. You know, so man, you should. I would definitely encourage anybody. You know what? Learn how to invest in property and get into it, because the benefits is just definitely amazing to be part of it. Yeah.
Nice, I like it, Ricardo. Well done on your journey, man. It is inspiring. The last question that I know that I said it was the last question on the question that I just asked you now, but I got a follow-up question to this last question, which is, how often then do you go out to learn?
Man, if I have to tell you that, it will probably be a shocking thing, eh?
Yeah.
I learn a lot. I think people that really knows me, I learn a lot. I can tell you, I'm a type of person, 2, 3 in the morning, I'm up, sitting on my laptop, always busy with online courses. Yeah, no, I love to learn, man. I think if you have to look at my spending now, it will probably be a lot on
education,
coaching and learning. No, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Like, I can tell you this morning, I think roughly about 4 in the morning, you know, when the family sleeps, and I say, all right, let me get myself up, I would sit and learn, you know, from the best. So education is king, you know, education is king. Learn from the best. I mean, that's probably one of the things I would share with somebody. You know what? Don't go and reinvent the wheel. You know, just find someone that is already successful. Model this person. I mean, TJ has got so much success. You know, if you want to invest in your magnitude of things, you know, why you want to go and learn from someone smaller? Go to the guy. The guy is going to tell you 3, 4, 5 things. This guy is going to fast track you for 10 years to come. Just you understand? So I'm a big believer in that. I spend a lot in terms of education. I go out to courses, seminars, but most of them mostly online. Mostly
online. Okay, okay. Yes. I'm in the same space with you, and I am predominantly online. A lot of books for me, be it audio or physically reading, yes. And there's particular people that I have intentionally chosen to follow and learn from. So for instance, everybody knows I'm a big advocate of following Robert Kiyosaki and his team, right? Because I can see what they're doing, and I've seen what they've done to the world in terms of teaching and in terms of investing itself. So no doubt, anything that is going to be Robert Kiyosaki, I'm on it, I'm reading it, I'm learning it, and things like that, you know. And there's lots of them, because from my perspective, Robert is now in his 70s, I think he is. So there is other guys also that are coming up, maybe in their 50s and things like that, that are more feistier, that have also learned some of the things that maybe Robert could have missed and things like that. Like, for instance, right now, you are a lot in the digital space, and I play in that space as well. We teach online. And I've had to learn that from someone else, you know, but Robert couldn't give me that. So definitely I am with you in those things. The more you learn, the more you earn. I'm also a firm believer of that. Good. Ricardo, thanks a lot. We're going into our last segment, and this last segment here is just basically asking you a question, and you need to answer in a second. Is that all good?
Excellent.
Good. The first question is, right, on any chilled day, where would we find Ricardo?
Probably at my house with my family. Just taking it easy.
Good. Is there any favorite? Do you have any favorite business book that you've got? Besides yours.
Couple, but I think besides mine, but I think the first one that comes up in my mind that has actually added a lot of value to my life, I would say the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. That's what I would definitely say. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
If you had to look at your younger self, what advice would you give your younger self?
I'll probably tell him, you know what, you've got everything that you need locked up on the inside of you. You've got it. You can make a success of it. Find successful people, model them, and then also your environment is stronger than your willpower. You know what? Just circle and surround yourself with people that are successful, and you'll make it. And I think last but not least, I'll probably tell him, Ricardo, go and take action, 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 action. If you fail, fail forward, but take action. If you fail, you will learn something, but get up and go and do it again as fast as possible.
Awesome. Do you have any favorite quote that you live by?
No, not really. But
Okay.
anything on personal development and success, yeah.
Sure. What does success look like for you?
Man, success means to me, you know what, just being free, time freedom, spending time with your family, your loved ones, being full of joy, full of happiness, just being able to do what you want to do, calling your family Friday afternoon, say, guys, I'm booking a flight now, let's city to Cape Town. That is success to me. You know, just enjoying time with my boys and my wife. That's success.
Nice. If you're to become any businessman, right, who would you be and why?
Man, I would probably say Tony Robbins. That's what I would say. I love motivation, personal development. You know, I would probably say that. I love his energy.
Yeah.
And then maybe another guy, I'll probably say the latest guy now, the Russell Brunsons, you know, Russell Branson, those guys in marketing. I mean, if you can't market, if you can't sell, you don't have a business. So and the reason being is I think the values, the values that I see, you know, personal development, they are honest, you know, they want to add value to people, community. That's one of the main reasons why I would like to be one of these two guys.
Good. I'm sure you've watched the movie Ocean 11. You've got a mission of growing this business of yours. And if we had to take the analogy of Ocean 11, you know, the key guy went on to find team members. That was his power team, and we went out to do amazing things in those Ocean 11, and we're still in awe of what it is. If we had to take that into real life and say, on the mission that you're on, who would you choose? Anywhere else in the world, who would you choose to go on your power team? Give us maybe 3 people. And why?
Man, I think when you ask me this question, the only thing that comes to my mind, I think, is this movie called The Italian Job. You know?
Yeah, same thing.
So, yeah, same person. And I normally watch these. One of the reasons why I watch these movies is ideally just to say, you know what, it's possible. These guys can do that. It just tells you it's possible.
Yeah.
So I'll probably say the team of The Italian Job, to get them together. And maybe the Vin Diesel guys to say, guys, I need guys to be able to fast track this thing, you know. Come, let's do this, yeah.
All right, cool. Everything else is done, brother. You are kind of like on your 90th birthday. Who do you want to spend that birthday with?
Now I would definitely say with my wife and my boys at a nice resort, you know, just taking it easy, relaxing there. Because I think at the end of the day, PJ, you know what, there's a guy, I think his name is Brendan Richard, you know, he said, you know what, when you get to that time of your life, there's 3 questions you're going to ask. Did you love, did you matter, you know? And I mean, at the age of 90.
Say it again. Did you what? Did you live?
Did you love?
Yeah.
Did you love? Did you love? And did you matter? You understand? So at the age of 90, that's all I want to ask myself. You know what? I've got my family here. I've got my beautiful wife next to me. I've acquired what I need to acquire, but I still have. This is the things that money cannot buy. So
sure.
That's what I want to have at the age of 90. Yeah.
Cool. Ricardo, thanks a lot. It's been great having you around. And boom, you heard it right. And that was Ricardo. And we heard his story. And I told you guys, I only bring in successful friends on here killing it is in own right. And myself and Ricardo, you can see our mindsets is very, very close to each other. Learn, and take action. Take action, massive action. So the more you learn, the more you take action. And that's how you're going to get some money onto the table, quick and easy, right? But Ricardo, thanks a lot for being here. It's been awesome. Good luck with your book. It's still selling, and we are going to be putting in some notes onto the comments so that people can get to your book. But you've been a bestseller already, eh? And I'm hoping that people can have some value out of that book. And if you want to reach out to Ricardo, we are going to be putting in some notes as well in terms of how you can reach out to him. Any closing words from you, Ricardo?
Yeah, no, thanks, TJ, for having me on your podcast, man. If the guys want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on ricardovanrooy.com.
Yeah.
That's my website. And then also just on Facebook, you can ultimately reach out to Ricardo van Rooy or just meet Ricardo van Rooy. You get my business page there. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from you guys. But thanks for hosting me as your guest. Really appreciate it, man. And thanks for what you're doing, man. I honestly love what you're doing. And yeah, I think let's impact nations. And yeah, let's teach people how to invest in property, the safest and the easiest way out there. Yeah.
Boom, boom. That's what it is. Thanks a lot, Ricardo. And ladies and gentlemen, we have come to a close, and it's been great having you around. If you are watching this, and if you'd like to ask anything in the comments, drop in your comments, ask anything in there. That's number one. Number two, you want to tag someone else, bring someone else so that they can learn from all of these podcasts that we are doing, so that they can learn. Share it as far as possible as you can. But from me, from the heart to you, it is over and out.